How's the water? Here it comes, here it comes. Good morning, welcome to A Sculpture for a Small Planet. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about how I remade a sculpture called Dead Reckoning into a new sculpture called Rain Collecting Water Cistern. I'm going to talk about how I made it, why I made it. This video is really going to be about water. How we can use water differently to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Some things that I do, some things that you might be able to do as well. Rain Collecting Water Cistern. Collects rain when it's raining, and it gives it to you so you can use it when it's not raining. Water, like a lot of things, is easy to take for granted unless you have too much of it or not enough. Ooh, that was a big poo. My neighbor's getting some water right now. I wonder what the carbon footprint of that is. There's a perfect example on the news today about too much or not enough water. In the west of the United States, there's not enough water, and in Europe, they have too much. And both of these accounts are being attributed to climate change.
Severe heat.
And these poor people have too much water.
With the climate emergency the way it is right now, these weather warnings need to be taken more seriously.
I need to back up here for a minute. This is my sculpture Dead Reckoning. I made a bunch of these formal cone pieces for a while. I moved it around a lot to outdoor sculpture shows, once all the way to Topeka, Kansas, a 3,000-mile round trip from my home. It was inspired by a true story about how Vice Admiral Sir Cloudesley Chauvel accidentally ran 4 of the Royal Navy's best ships straight into a rocky island. At that time in 1707, ships' captains used what's called dead reckoning to calculate their position of longitude at sea. This was a navigational nightmare, which led to sailors dying of thirst and starvation, as well as running their ships into the ground in the middle of the night. We're coming up here on some of the leftover cones from the original Dead Reckoning sculpture. This is stuff that I made before I had a moral imperative to do things different. When I made this sculpture in 2008, it was my Dead Reckoning that climate change was happening faster than scientists were predicting. How can we be so willing to risk the most beautiful place in the known universe for short-sighted greed? Even though Dead Reckoning was kind of a cool sculpture, it was never going to promote greenhouse gas reductions that would offset its transportation or its construction. So I remade it to help grow trees. Copper pipes were added to the points of the cones to connect a hose. The outside is covered with bronze dust that I swept up from the studio floor. This makes a very weather-resistant surface, so it'll function for many years to come. This old truck's frame is perfect for making a skid, so I can move the whole thing around. The steel structure was then galvanized to radically slow oxidation, so it too will last for many years. In rainstorms and on rainy days, the cones, they collect the water through the top.
The water collectors taking that water that we've collected, and we are watering the pear tree.
You probably don't have a bunch of cones lying around that you can make a rain collecting water cistern out of. But if you keep an eye out, you can probably find an old above ground swimming pool or an old hot tub for free and make one from them pretty easy. If that's not an option, you can have your house plumbed so it'll separate the gray water from the sewer water and use that gray water to water trees and vegetable garden. There are lots of other ways that we can decrease our greenhouse gas emissions by the way that we use water. Not letting clean water go to waste is just the right thing to do. Even if you live where there's lots of water, simple conservation can save electricity and decrease the stress on the waste stream. And you know how I like to. Catch the rainwater, water plants, and trap mosquitoes. We all know on a fundamental level that water is essential for life. But sometimes I think we overlook just how much joy water brings to our lives. We physically can't live without water, but water is also essential to our emotional and psychological lives as well. Let's not take it for granted. Let's get out there and enjoy water in all three of its glorious states: gaseous, liquid, and solid. You did it! Hey, real quick, I was really trying to get this video done while the sculpture was still up in the extraction show. A really nice catalog and a really great show. Barbara Zabel and Timothy McDowell curated that. And while I was up in that show, it was really nice that Susan Hoffman-Fishman wrote about the show and my pieces. There's the Rain Collecting Water Cistern, and the other piece that I had in that show was the Fire and Ice mobile pumping unit. You can see that video on my channel, and also watch for a video soon about drinking water and plastic. Thanks for watching, and good luck with all your greenhouse gas reduction projects. That's good.